Hey guys, Steve here from Top Guns out of Terre Haute, Indiana. Today we're going to take just a quick look at the SIG Sauer P210 and see what makes it unique. So today I'm here with Emery Morgenstern to help review the SIG 210.
It does seem to have a really low bore axis. What I'm noticing is, the first thing I notice, other than this really nice ergonomic grip that they put on here, is that if you'll notice that the rails here are internal. That makes it a lot more like a Jericho or like a CZ75, right? And what that does is, even without lowering the bore axis, you're lowering essentially you're lowering your center of gravity of the gun.
So I noticed one of the things that I noticed when I was shooting it was a couple of times the gun went off before I really knew it was. I was surprised by it. And so that, some people may say, oh, well, you don't want a gun that's going to go off without you knowing that you're pulling. But there is, when you're trying to shoot for accuracy, sometimes that's not necessarily a bad thing because you're not able to anticipate and flinch as a result, and sometimes that helps your accuracy.
I think all of this is a function of the platform you're used to.
Right.
So I'll give you an example with ARs. I like a stock trigger. That's, I'll go faster with a stock trigger than I can with one of those souped up fancy single stage deals, which are not bad. They're super. They're there for a reason. They make them for a good reason. But I'm so not used to them, I just can't shoot as fast or as accurately with them.
Right.
A lot of these competition guns are tricked out.
And I might mention, you are a huge SIG fan. That's what you carried in the military.
Yes, sir.
You typically in the past have carried what as your primary?
I carry a SIG. I carry a SIG for the most part.
220 or 226?
I carry a 220 Equinox.
Okay.
Because that's what I have.
All right.
If I had 226s, I'd carry them too. One of the things about SIGs is that their bore axis is very high, and the slides typically are kind of taller.
Sure.
And what that creates is a situation where you have more of that mass coming back at you higher up. So your felt recoil typically is more. Your follow-up shots need a little more training to really get them nice and fast.
Sure. Not so much the case with this one though.
Not at all the case with this one. Yeah, this one, I'd like to shoot it some more to get used to it.
Right. Oh, let's put some rounds down range.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's see what this trigger feels like. First of all, it's really silky smooth. I feel like the reset is a little further out than I expected it to be.
Sure.
Which is not a bad thing. It's still probably a shorter reset than most of your regular SIGs, except for, I know that the Legions have a really short reset, and that feels nice. I do feel some take up. There is.
It's almost like it's almost like a two-stage trigger. You come up to the wall.
It definitely is a two-stage trigger. See, here's your take up. It's a nice short take up, and then the click. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's almost okay. Let me rephrase that. It's almost like a three-stage, right? Here's your first little stage, and then you got a harder stage, and then the break is just. I mean, it's just a hair.
Yeah. So the break, once you get to that break, is really. It has surprised me a couple times. Keep in mind, this is a target gun, not a defensive gun. SIG actually markets it as a target pistol. It is an 8-round magazine and, of course, single action only. Right.
I gotta say, look, target guns and competition shooting is not my world.
That's not what you do, right?
So it's really kind of a new thing to me. Having said that, I think I could get really comfortable with it.
We got some hollow points loaded up. Let's see if it feeds them well.
Perfect.
Not that you would really be shooting hollow points through this gun, but we're gonna try it anyway because that's what we had here to shoot. Fed the hollow points well. They grouped decent.
And if I'm not mistaken, these are hollow points that you said you had some issues with.
We had some issues in the past where they had some the primers weren't working properly. So, all in all, man, I think the gun is an incredible shooter. I like the trigger. It takes a second to get used to, but I absolutely love the trigger. I wouldn't carry it as a defensive gun, obviously, and that's
No,
not the way
no,
they're putting it out.
No.
But because the trigger's too light. But for target purposes, wow, what an incredible shooter! Literally, with a little bit of time behind the trigger, both Emery and myself were able to hold groups where the rounds were all touching. So that's impressive for a gun to be able to do that. Certainly, especially out of the box, being able to.
Sure. It's not a negative thing. There are two things that I feel like I would maybe want to see different.
Sure.
One is the rear sight. Now, again, the competition world is not something I'm all that knowledgeable on.
Right.
I would like to see a rear sight that has some markings there that kind of help you line it up to be a little more fast with your first shot. That's one. The other thing is, I would expect, so you have this big flare here, and typically in competition guns, that's to help you kind of feed your mag, right? It's to help you kind of place your mag. But the actual mag well is very squared up.
Sure.
So I think for a competition gun, I would like to see the actual mag well itself flared out a little bit.
Right. And go ahead and put that in there. One other thing I might mention since you're doing it, go ahead and put the empty mag in there. So the other thing I noticed, and I guess it's not really that hard to seat up, but I felt like I had to push a little bit as opposed to it naturally stopping, but maybe it was just me.
And you know what? Maybe that's a function. Maybe if they shaved off an 1/8 inch off of the bottom here, I think that would make all the difference.
All right, guys, it kind of wraps up shooting the P210. I know a few of the things that I really liked about it. I did like the trigger pull, although it is different. I like the grip. Again, very different. It's more of a target gun. I happen to like the low bore axis. I also, which you were not a big fan of the sights, I happen to like the sights, not for defensive purposes, but I liked them for target.
What was good for you?
You know what?
Front sight is very small, which I think is excellent.
Right.
That definitely makes you more accurate.
Right. And I liked that there wasn't a lot here. All I was really using that for was to make sure that my front sight was between the blackened space. So
right.
For my purposes, I didn't mind it, and I'm not a target shooter. In fact, I'm actually not very good at target shooting. Having said that, the gun made
You're more accurate than I am.
the gun made both of us look pretty decent. So
sure.
Kudos to SIG for that. And they're hard to get, but we're looking forward to getting more. Your thoughts on it?
I got to tell you, first of all, I hadn't even heard of the 210.
Yeah.
And again, it's not really.
And you're a SIG fan.
I'm a total SIG fan. I love SIG. I love SIG. The low bore access is excellent. I've been carrying Jerichos a lot. I love Jerichos, and so this thing stood out to me right away. I mean, as soon as the box opened, I went, "Hey, it looks like a Jericho," which is because of these rails, how they're on the inside here. And I think that's just a super feature. It actually, even though you have the low bore axis, what this does is lowers your center of gravity. Gun feels excellent. I love it. By the way, this wood is really beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
I think it's very well made. Beautiful. I mean, I trust SIG. We certainly haven't had any malfunctions or anything like that.
No.
I think this gun isn't even broken in yet, so what we were shooting is probably not as accurate as this gun will be.
Tell us a little bit about what you do. Where can they find you and find your school?
Sure. Well, so I'm the owner of Combat Force Academy. We're out of Colorado, and we teach pretty much all outdoor, and we teach kind of a combination between the Israeli methods and what we employ in the field in Israel and how we train people, which is kind of a different approach. It's not necessarily a technical difference. We're more about the mental difference and preparing you mentally and becoming proficient at making the correct decisions in the field and being able to overcome that fight or flight kind of thing.
Absolutely.
We get into CQB and all that stuff, and
so
we mix Krav Maga actually as part of our shooting because they're really inseparable.
So Emery was Israeli Special Forces, served for several years in the military over there. Where can they find your website if they want to go check out your website?
CombatForceAcademy.com.
All right, excellent. Check him out. Also take classes with Emery here. So we fly Emery in every so often, and he comes in and he instructs here at Top Guns as well. So you can either, if you're close to Colorado, go check him out there. If you're not close and you're here somewhere in the Midwest and would like to get into some of his classes here, let us know, and when we bring him in, we can put you on the list and give you a call. So thanks to SIG for letting us do the test on the P210, and we'll talk to y'all later. Take care.